Hello again. For the beginning, I will have to complain a little bit about certain space agency, which is not exactly honest with us, common people who watch the data provided by them. Maybe it's supposed to be some kind of punishment for me, as I didn't waste any occasion to tell about their manipulations. Anyway, for some unknown reason, this space agency decided to switch off bigger part of monitors which they provide on ISWA. Besides SWMF plus RCM models, all of those monitors stopped working on 10th of August. Funny, as they were working 2 days ago, but now this data is gone. Luckily, all those models are working just fine. And if you'll spend couple minutes to set up the software, you can still watch SWSM Magnetosphere straight from CCMC page. But it seems that there wasn't too much going on in the last hours. However, at the end of animation, we can see some disturbances of IMF magnetic orientation. Problem is that the ionosphere monitors were switched off just as the ones which show magnetosphere. If there would be a quake, I would be left without the most important data. And at last we have some action taking place on the ground magnetometers plot. A sudden geomagnetic pulse appeared soon after midnight on the Norwegian line readings, and it reached more than 200 nanoteslas on some graphs. We can see the possible cause on the ACE solar wind chart. It seems that the impact took place earlier than it was expected, but such signature is a clear sign of a CME, probably the one connected with filament eruption. The IMF magnetic orientation is clearly disturbed by incoming solar particles, but it seems that again, BX component is affected stronger than BY and BZ. It means that there won't be any auroras and KP index will remain low. ACE EPAM readings confirms my claim. The amount of low energy particles started to grow slightly during the impact, what is mostly connected with incoming CMEs. By the way, another spike appeared soon before the impact. Because I've missed quite a lot of frames, this animation is not complete, as it is lacking the initial impact, which I recorded anyway couple minutes ago. As you can probably see, the CME caused a strong compression of the magnetosphere. But until CCMC monitors won't be switched back online, this is all what I can say about this event. What is anyway more than the info given by competition? Bang! BZ magnetic component suddenly took a dive and reached -7 nanoteslas. The response of geomagnetic field can't be more clear. This disturbance is being recorded right now over entire planet. There is however something what makes me wonder. Even if all conditions were reached, there is still no geomagnetic storm and auroral power didn't grow at all. I think that I will look closer at this situation. It looks that my guess as for the cause of those readings was correct. Wave of particles which impact steel is taking place while I'm recording this movie looks like a classic example of a CME, besides the fact that its velocity is rather small. Strange, because it's arrived earlier than expected. Much more interesting are the magnetic plots. It seems that somewhere in the middle of this CME wave there was a separate field with different magnetic orientation than the rest of plasma cloud. It seems as well that the passing of this channel caused the biggest disturbances in last day. Ground magnetometer readings speak for themselves. And a funny coincidence in latest seismic activity. You can think that I'm obsessed lately with all the flux tubes in heliosphere, but I think that this separated field was in fact an active magnetic connection, which is passing through the ejected plasma cloud. Anyway, whatever it wasn't predicted by Gong. IMF polarity flipped 2 days ago, but the latest readings were not recorded as a sector boundary crossing. According to annual and ACE data, Earth is now placed in an IMF sector with positive outward flow. Positive side of the entire event can be the fact that we've gained some low energy protons which probably refilled the current rings. Okay, maybe I'm obsessed with the flux tubes, but this paranoia is based on scientific data. Even if this solar maximum is very weak, magnetic field of Sun is far from being calm. CME, which probably hit us today, was emitted from a filament eruption which took place on 15th of August. Notice that the darkest filaments seems to stay on the border between opposite polarities. And this is how this event affected the magnetic polarity of Sun. A small separated positive field emerged from the main polarity and turned into a giant flux tube. And it happened just after the filament eruption. Although I don't know which event was the trigger and which one the effect, but I can guess that the CME cloud used this magnetic connection to travel faster. Or the field line snapped to the ejected plasma. Anyway, the flux tube remained open in the next 2 days. However, on 17th of August, there was quite a big magnetic reconfiguration of the heliosphere, and the connection started to lose strength. Couple hours later, the flux tube disappeared. Connection was broken just when Earth passed through it. Okay, It looks that CCMC monitors are back online, except the SWMF plus RCM models. Big surprise! Readings generated during the missing hours were not erased. What doesn't mean that I will cut out the beginning. I've said couple times before that the rapid shifts of magnetic field in the IMF are causing the biggest geomagnetic disturbances. Let's look how this huge flux tube affected the magnetosphere. Such behavior of the red closed field lines is a sign of increased backside pressure. But now comes the first sector boundary. Sudden shift of magnetic orientation caused some visible plasma outflows. But it's time for the impact of the day. It seems that I was only partially right. Impact from 17th of August wasn't caused by the filament eruption, but probably by a small plasma ejection which took place aerial. Actually, there were two such eruptions in a short period of time. The expected CME impact started in the morning of August 19. But there was a second event. IMF magnetic orientation flipped by 180 degrees, couple hours after the first one, which I've described before. During this time, there was some very interesting magnetosphere activity. Such disturbance was probably caused by strong northward magnetic pull of the IMF. Here we can see another flux tube which formed within the disturbed magnetotail. Once more the shift of magnetic orientation was followed by a plasma discharge. Another event which is worth to notice are those low energy spikes, which were recorded by ACE right at the time of another of those interplanetary magnetic shifts. During the entire period of time, Enlil heliosphere monitor generated some very interesting readings. The disturbances seem to originate in a part of IMF which by coincidence matches with my model. It seems that we have at last a geomagnetic storm. BZ flipped southward and right now it is at minus 10 nanoteslas. But 1 hour ago it reached minus 15 during a single jolt. This was more than enough to cause quite strong auroras. Over southern pole its power is almost reaching 70 gigawatts. Disturbances can be seen on most of ground magnetometers. NOAA raised the KP index to 4. But look at this magnetic shock. In the matter of minutes, BX and BZ components lost their entire force, while BY started to point at minus 20 nanoteslas. The response of geomagnetic field is visible clearly. During the impact, we were hit by a spike which reached 160 particles per cubic centimeter. Quite a lot of action. It seems that there was another total discharge of current rings at the time of CME arrival. When particles started to refill the rings, a strong equatorial connection appeared even at higher energy bands. For the end, some weird activity over the Iraq-Iran border, pretty close to the epicenters of recent quakes which are taking place there in couple last days. Class dismissed. Peace.